Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Night Sports Guys Tuesday edition. Glad to have everybody here tonight as we will go through week one of the National Football League games from the week that has been past us here. Obviously, big story also coming out of Oakland via to New England, the acquirement of Antonio Brown by the Patriots, and obviously with the three of us being diehard Patriots fans, it should become a very interesting conversation as we get going. And we also will be talking about the firing of Dave Dombrowski in Boston by the Red Sox, which was a bit of a surprise, I think, for most, though it can maybe be justified in some ways. Still a bit of a surprise. And obviously, we're going to talk about, a big event for what's happened here in Canada. Bianca Andreescu, who won the U.S. Open over the weekend, beating the legendary Serena Williams. So we are really looking forward to this show. And this edition of the Sunday Night Sports Guys is brought to you by the Legends VIP Network. Gentlemen, let me tell you something. You don't ever have to miss another one of your team's games. You don't have to miss any of the movies with your sweetheart. If you're a news guy, if you're one that likes series, Legends has everything you need to know about it. Get in touch with us. We'll let you know how you can acquire that. The greatest app out there today. Troy Blades in Hammonds Plains, T-Mac in Coburn, Ontario.
Well, still can't get it, can he?
Can I not get that right?
No. Get rid of the port.
Port.
There is no port.
Yeah.
It's just
Ontario, for crying out loud, man.
Oh, it's
There's
just
no
Coburg.
water.
Just Coburg as in hamburger. Coburg.
Coburg.
Cobourg.
Coburg. Okay. I've got that. I've put stars
Spell
around
it
it.
Coburg, because that's how it was pronounced. How's that, right? Coburger.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, sorry about that, Mac. Someday I'll get it right. I'm telling you, you guys that ain't hit 52, it's a damn hard age, man. It's a lot of adjusting these first 2 years of the 50s.
God, 52. We'll be there soon.
Duke, I listened to which you guys might too, the CBS Fantasy Baseball guys. And one of them, they take pride in how badly he mispronounces names. So you can just be that guy for us. Don't worry about it. We'll just smile and nod.
Shit.
I always call myself a team player, so I'll take that roll up, sort of thing. So anyway, gentlemen, we are going to get into week one of the National Football League, and obviously football is a big love of the three of us. And this time of the year gives us plenty to talk about sports-wise, but we're not limited to this one thing. So week one is in the books, and as we like to do here on the Sunday Night Sports Guys during the NFL season, each one of us on the panel will take a game, kind of talk about what we saw, what we feel about it, and the others can kind of chirp in with anything that they found and saw with it. If you are watching the live stream tonight, by all means, put your comment in the comment section. One of the guys will keep a tab out for that. I'm kind of doing the tech side here as well, so till I do a bit more of this, we're just kind of winging it the best we can. And I think so far we've done pretty good. So we're going to start with Bladesy. You're going to talk to us a little bit about what you saw in the game between the Chargers and the Indianapolis Colts. How did that game pan out, and what it probably was one of the better games of the weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, I would say, Duke. I mean, it's first week of football. Let me say, so excited. So excited. Obviously, we got hit with a hurricane here over the weekend, so I wasn't sure on Saturday whether I was going to be able to watch football on Sunday or not. But we were one of the fortunate ones. But I will have to say, your Legends VIP Network, the sponsor, that they came in. And they came through, watched the Red Zone channel for about 8 hours on Sunday. It was awesome. Not one blip, not one buffer, not anything, and it was very exciting to watch that and see every touchdown that was scored, kind of thing. So
I interrupt this part of the broadcast for our second sponsors, Blades and Mackenzie Divorce Attorneys. Will be needed because the husbands are watching too much of sports on VIP Legends.
That's true. Well, I gotta get mine out of the way here before curling starts here in the first part of October. And my Sundays are kind of booked. So I'm gonna be using that app on the iPhone if there's good Wi-Fi. So that's gonna be good too. So, but anyway, no, but it was a little different for me because I usually just watch a game or whatever, flick around on the commercials. So this was definitely a little bit different. But that the Chargers Colts game was one that I thought was very intriguing. Obviously, everybody knows about the Melvin Gordon holdout. The Chargers were one of the top teams in the NFC last year. They're coming in. Phillip Rivers isn't getting any younger. You know what? But they've got a good team there. I mean, Kansas City's the top of that division, but the Chargers are right there. So I thought that was interesting. The Colts. We don't have to go into that anymore with Locke, and But I think with the Colts is that people, I think people were a little too high on the Colts beforehand. They were, their Vegas over under, when Luck was maybe going to play, when he was a little bit hurt, was 9.5, and then when he retires. Brissett, it goes down to 6.5, three whole wins. People were kind of, they were a little too high on him before, maybe a little too low on him afterwards. And I think Brissett showed him that the Colts aren't going to be no slouch this year. So, they came in there, they went into LA. It's not a great home field advantage for LA, of course. Everybody knows about that, and the stadium that they play in and things like that. But, the Colts came out there, they played hard. The Chargers were up 17-6. Vinatieri missed an extra point early. On their first touchdown, would have tied the game. He missed another field goal later. But the Chargers were up 24-16, something like that, in driving in the red zone. And Rivers throws a pick in the end zone. The Colts guy just comes over and picks it off with one hand. With about 5 minutes left or whatever it was. Picks it off with one hand, brings it out, and Brissett brings them down, charges down, and they end up scoring a touchdown, scoring the 2-point conversion, taking it in overtime. The Chargers ended up winning the game, but I think it proved that the Colts are definitely not somebody that you're going to be able to sleep on. Marlon Mack had 173 yards rushing, which, goes to prove, poor old Andrew Luck, the reason he retired early is because he got beat up too much, because they didn't give him an offensive line. They finally have shored up that offensive line too little too late, obviously, for Andrew Luck. But, the rest of them seem to be going to reap the benefits. I mean, I'm not saying the Colts are going to win the division or anything, but, after Jacksonville's, Nick Foles goes down and things like that, it opens it up a little bit more. It was a great game. I'm going to go into all that, but the Chargers won at home. They had to win, but I think the Colts showed a lot of moxie there, and they're not going to be a pushover for sure.
Right on. Mac, do you see anything in that game at all that you wanted to point out on, or red zone keep you hopping all over the place?
It certainly did. I think it's interesting. Poor Chargers, not the San Diego Chargers. They're in LA. They just think of them in the last few years, how many times their kicker has cost them. Yeah. And it was not this time. It happened in reverse. So maybe some good karma for them to start the year. Still can't get over the fact that the way Drew Brees throws the ball. I swear, when I watch them, I get preoccupied just with watching that release. How he can throw it as far and accurately with that.
Rivers, you mean?
Yeah.
Rivers?
I said Drew Brees, didn't I? Holy God.
I was in San Diego.
I just am not talking about the Chargers anymore. 31 other teams I'll stick to.
Well, if you're watching for the first time, T-Mac is he's a principal in the Ontario school system, and I'll tell you what, we give T-Mac a lot of leeway in there, because when you're dealing with all the kids and stuff, like parents and teachers and stuff, I'm sure mentally trying to put some of the sports stuff into perspective can be a little challenging. But anyway, Mac, you're going to talk to us a bit about, you seem to have watched a good portion of the New York Giants-Dallas Cowboy game. And, of course, we know coming into this game, the big news in Dallas was about Ezekiel Elliott, whether he was going to get signed in time, and him being, the highest paid running back in the game. So that was taken care of. I didn't catch that game myself, but I do know Zeke did get some touches of the ball and things like that. And also from that was a big game with Prescott, which kind of, we can get into a little bit about the contract situation there. But what did you see in that game there? Are the Cowboys a team, like, overall? I know it was only the Giants, but do you think they are a true contender there for a shot at the Super Bowl in the NFC?
I think so, and I think I picked them as one of the wild cards when we did our show last week. It was interesting because I was ready to spend the day red zoning, and though we had no hurricane, our internet is wireless just outside of the town that we live in, and it went out. So I was stuck with having cut the cord, whatever Buffalo was sending across the lake, and Fox Buffalo was showing that game. So it was a pleasant surprise, entertaining wise. The game started off. Barkley did what Barkley does and knocked off like a 50-yarder in the first quarter. Giants scored, and I thought, wow, this could actually be a game. And then Prescott and company took over. I think like a lot of the games from the first week, the opposing teams, there were a lot of bad defenses, and the Giants have like, I don't know how many of their guys would be starters on other teams. They're just not very good. So it'll be interesting to see moving forward. But Prescott was at the top of his game, and for a guy that seems pretty chill about the whole contract thing, and having read that he's got $50 million in endorsements, that he's doing just fine. He's the right makeup for this team. Cobb, Gallup, and Cooper, 3 good receivers. Gallup was a guy last year that I was high on fantasy-wise, and he didn't really show anything. And in this game, there looks like there could be something there between he and Prescott. So that was good to see. Elliott, they gave him some carries in the beginning. The crowd was pretty excited. He got his touchdown later in the game, but they were doing whatever they wanted with the passing game. And their defense, those 3 linebackers, like when Sean Lee is coming off the bench for you and he's healthy, you're in a good spot. Manning was surprisingly okay, and a large part of the episode they talked about him almost like a retirement tour, but 15 straight seasons with the team. It wasn't on Manning this game. Daniel Jones came in late, which you always wonder if when a coach does that, is this like asking for trouble? He didn't light anything up, fumbled the ball. They were making connections to how when Manning came out and Kurt Warner was the quarterback, and when he came in, Warner never saw the field again. That was kind of an interesting sidebar. Jason Witten was kind of a neat story too, out of the booth. And when they dumped off the little touchdown pass for him, like, he's pretty class act too. Like, touchdown, hand the ball to the ref, go over, just, celebrate with his teammates. I don't know whether I like him or not, but I thought that was kind of a neat moment to come back and do that. Just like what Gronk will do later in the year when the WWE lets him out of SummerSlam or Royal Rumble or whatever it happens to be at the time.
Week 14. So, that's what he says, week 14.
Yeah. No, good. The Cowboys look for real. The other thing, the new offensive coordinator, former quarterback Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore.
And the announcers were making a fair deal about the creativity in the offense compared to. So I think the more they take out of the head coach's hands in Dallas, the better. Right. So that might, and if they get this contract done with Zeke, they get some nice things going there. So.
Well, the pieces are certainly in place there for Dallas. Certainly in place there to make that Super Bowl run, and of course being recognized as America's team, though there's a team in the Northeast that might have something to say about that. They do have some pieces there. The offensive coordinator you make mention of obviously is coming in with a fresh look, a different look, being creative, which they should be able to do when you have some of the talent that they have in place there. But Bladesy, I think with Dallas, and you might agree with this, is that they're gonna go as far as that defense can maintain itself, what it's been the last few years. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, for sure, the defense. But I'm telling you, with that, with Dak does what he has to do, and I mean, with like Max said, with that wide receiving core, Cooper and Cobb and Gallup and Zeke Elliott. I mean, Witten is a great story. We're not sure how much he's got left in the tank. I mean, obviously he didn't do that well in the Monday night booth, but as an aside, if you watched that Monday night game last night, man, Booger's got to get out of there too, because holy crap, that was an abomination. Booger as a color guy, but anyway, no, I mean both sides of the ball, they're pretty talented, and I mean I think they're going to be right there with the Rams, with the Saints. The NFC is loaded up top, unlike the AFC, which probably has 2 or 3 teams maybe. The NFC probably has 4 or 5 that could be there, and Dallas is certainly one of them if they keep going the way they're going. So I mean, I don't think it's just defense, but obviously they need both sides of the ball for sure. But Dak showed some stuff on Sunday, that's for sure.
Right on. It does seem like a lot of these, a lot of the so-called contenders did seem to have in some cases, a bit of an easy layup for the first week. So obviously we know it's a long season. Just like every other sports league, it's a marathon, although 16 games, some people snicker at that, but them boys take quite a beating over the course of that. So for me, I was privy to having to catch both of the Monday nighters last night. Didn't really catch all of the end one, Oakland and Denver, but I did catch the Texans and the Saints, and that was it's going to be hard pressed to probably beat that game last night. Although there was a few other close games. Clearly, the Colts-Chargers game would be right there with it, but last night was extremely entertaining. And I was very surprised that New Orleans was able to come down and get in position for that field goal. And, Mac talked earlier about with Rivers and how he has that quick, holds the ball. He can zip that ball as far down the field as he does very quickly. Drew Brees is kind of in that same kind of mold, if you will, of throwing like that. And
Mac actually said Drew Brees first. So.
Oh, he did say Drew Brees, correct. That's right.
I thought you let it go.
I couldn't. I almost did, but I couldn't.
I was counting in my head. 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. We're almost there.
Sorry, Duke. I know you had a good point. I apologize, but I couldn't let it go.
No, we can't. That's what we always try to get our fair shots in on the Sunday Night Sports, guys. So anyway, last night was, I'll be honest with you, it was the first time I really have watched enough of the game to get a look at Deshaun Watson, to be honest with you. Obviously, we all play fantasy, so we're quite familiar with a lot of the names and things like that. But to actually watch actual eye test of this guy, and he you know what, he is part of the future of the National Football League. He definitely is. Very strong-armed kid, mobile in the pocket. But he also has a pocket presence about him, which I was pretty impressed with last night. They're down 24-21. How'd that go? Was it 24-21? Yes. And he marches them down to get the field goal, or they go ahead. How'd that play itself out?
I think it was 27-21 at that point.
27-21, correct.
Yeah, because they tied it, and then they missed the extra point, but they got the penalty.
That was the finish. Yeah. Thank you. And then, that kid for New Orleans took the bad penalty, roughing the kicker sort of thing, which, that penalty, that call there is, man, I don't know, that's a heartbreaking one, because he was kind of already in the air, but anyway, the rule is the rule. So that happens, and then it's like, Houston just needs to make some kind of reasonable stop of some sort. Try to keep them, behind the 45-yard line. And they just kind of played a lax defense, which I have no idea why you would do that against Drew Brees. Because, aside from Brady, he's probably maybe the second best quarterback I've watched in my era of watching the game. And I would add this to the conversation that if, for some reason, the Patriots could not make it to the Super Bowl or were to lose to the Super Bowl, I would hope it would be to Drew Brees, because I think the argument's no longer who's the GOAT. That's already been determined. The next argument is who was the best quarterback after Tom Brady in his era. And I think for Brees to win another Super Bowl, strong case is going to be made that he was better than Peyton Manning and stuff. But it was a great game last night. I was fully entertained by the whole thing. Kind of stayed glued to the TV for the better part of it. And, two real good teams going at it in the first Sunday. And no doubt they're both going to be contending for, the title of their respective divisions. New Orleans in the South, and also Texans are in the South in the AFC. So did any of you, I'm sure with Monday night, you guys got a chance to watch a little bit about that. Anything you want to add to what you saw with that game last night?
Yeah, that was probably the best game of the weekend, to be honest. Like you said, there was a couple more that went into overtime or whatever, but that seemed to be the best game of the weekend. I watched quite a bit of it. I mean, Deshaun Watson was, like you said, there was a couple throws there. There was a throw at the start of the second half where he's, stepping up in the pocket and just throws a bullet into, I think it was Hopkins for the third touchdown.
Yeah.
That was just unreal, like throwing off 1 foot, just drove it in there. He's not a running quarterback. He can run. He's a quarterback, but he can run. He's got a strong arm. I've got him in a couple fantasy teams, and there's a reason for that. I think he's the real deal. I mean, I picked Houston to win their division to start. Didn't, even though they lost the game, that didn't deter me from what I thought they were. I think they're a really good team. I think they're a 10-11 win team for sure. They got a good defense, not a great defense, but a good defense. Deshaun Watson's probably the best wide receiver in the league at this point in time. And, you got Hyde, you got Duke Johnson back there, not the greatest running tandem in the history of mankind, but, it's okay. With Hopkins and Fuller and these guys, I think they've got a good team. With Jacksonville, with Foles going down, I think that pretty much maybe gives them the division, even though, the Colts are a little frisky, but, the rest of that division is not that great. Tennessee won, but whatever. Don't forget, you got a great game coming up next week. New Orleans at the Rams. There's one right there, right off the bat, man. That's going to be there's your big game of the week next week for sure. But I agree with you, Duke. I mean, Drew Brees has always been a class act. He's a great guy. He seems like a good guy. And the Saints, if the Patriots can't win it, I wouldn't be opposed to the Saints winning another Super Bowl before Brees goes off into the sunset for sure.
Yeah. Mac, did you get a chance to catch any of that? I know you've been pretty busy with some things with work and that, but were you able to catch a little bit of last night?
No, I just watched some highlights. I was hoping I needed Thomas to help me in fantasy, so I peeked on once. But I will do better on the Monday nights moving forward. But back to school, these first few weeks are pretty busy. So
okay, fair enough. All right, so gentlemen, we're moving along to the game that obviously we always have the most interest in, and we make no apologies for being New England Patriot fans. We have thoroughly enjoyed the success that the Kraft, Belichick, Brady era has brought us, and it looks like it's going to continue at least for one more year. There's two parts to this particular discussion that we're going to have. The first part, we're going to talk about the Steelers and the Patriots game. We won't talk about the Antonio Brown situation so much. We are going to do that after this discussion. So you two obviously got to see more of the game than I did. I was at work at the time, did get to see a little bit on lunch break and kind of listen to it a little bit on the way home and things. 33-3, the score pretty much says everything. Apparently the Steelers will be starting their real season next week. Now that they've played 5 preseason games, they should be ready for the season next week. So, T-Mac, what did you get out of the Patriots thing? Obviously for you, especially after we did our preview show the other night, and you're pretty crusty with me about any mention of them Steelers. So I'm sure a lot of satisfaction came about, last night for you, or Sunday night, excuse me.
You can mention the Steelers all you want now, Duke. It's forgotten. It's funny. 33-3 doesn't accurately reflect the game. To me, it should have been more of a Dolphins score. Like it truly, it may be just some of the game one rust, but it was a fun game to watch. I regret missing the opening ceremonies. I don't know what happened. There was something to do with Gronk that Blasey maybe can fill in a second, but. I don't know. It was just one of those games you enjoyed from start to finish. Part of me was expecting a little bit of a Steelers a resurgence at some point in the game to make it somewhat competitive. Nothing. My hopes for the defense came true. I mean, they just dominated the game. Like Pittsburgh couldn't do anything. And if Philip Dorsett, former number 1 pick who's had his time to quietly get the things going with Brady, if he's our number 4, and I know that's an if, we're hoping for Antonio, we are in great shape. Gordon made a great catch over the middle. You knew he was going to get hit. And I think I didn't quite appreciate just how big he is. When he was in Cleveland and stuff, it was always in the highlights, seeing him just screaming down the sidelines, but he's 6'4", he's 240 pounds. Like
Big boy.
he's a big, strong man. Those defensive backs hit him, but they look like they're getting the worst of it. So, and even Brady was good, but he wasn't great. Tom Edelman was fine. I don't know. I don't want to take too much from Bladesy, but I'm excited about James White too and the running backs. I think they are just teams are gonna be so focused on the wide receivers. I think that could create lots of openings. And Bill is more than happy to run the ball. So,
Yeah.
over to you, Bladesy.
Yeah, well, I mean, to say it wasn't a surprise, I mean, obviously it was a surprise to beat them by that much and that badly. It was just a total beatdown, a total shit kicking. We've had our way with the Steelers, the Belichick Brady era. I think we're 8-3 or even better than that. I don't know what it is. It's something like that. It's pretty crazy. The Patriots came out there. They started running the ball in that first drive. I think they ran it like 5 out of 6 times or something like that. They got a little bit going. They might have got a first down. Brady, the one throw to Edelman that I think it slipped out of his hands or something. It's like, wow, that was kind of shitty. That was a bad first drive. But, of course, they stopped them. And then after that, you talk about the Gordon catch across the middle, which was unbelievable for him to hold on to that one. But I like the touchdown, the first touchdown of the game where he, the catch wasn't so great, but he caught it at the 20 and he broke 2 tackles and he ended up in there. It's like, this guy's here to play, and that was even more impressive to me. Brady was great. Like he always is, 341 yards, 3 touchdowns or whatever. I mean, everybody's talking about the offense. We're going to talk about more of the offense in a bit. But, I think the key is, like I say, I think people are saying this is the best defense they've ever had. And, I mean, they had a great defense in the first few years of 2001 to 2004. They had a great defense. And this one they're saying could be better, especially in the secondary. So I think this is if that is true, which it looked like it was last night, Ben couldn't do anything, and I think I know T-Mac doesn't want to talk about the Steelers, but I do want to say I do think let's not write off the Steelers just yet. I think this is a blip, like Duke said. I think they like Bill Simmons said. I think they forgot to practice in August. But I think the Patriots always do this to them. So I still think the Pittsburgh Steelers will win that division. But you know what? Let them come back to Foxborough in January. Can't wait. So let's go with that.
The thing I would add is that our rookie left tackle, or not rookie, second year, who missed looked very good. He's very smooth. He's so it's almost like to have him almost redshirt last year and have him come in after letting Brown. I think he may do just fine protecting the blind side for Tom.
Well, this is another thing though, and this just goes to show. I mean, Belichick is just unbelievable. But without Gronk, obviously Gronk is gone. Ben Watson is suspended for 4 games for something that they knew that he had done before they signed him. They knew this was happening. Let's not, this wasn't a Patriots thing, people, haters. So what happened was, this is how he does it. Belichick in 2018, he had 24 plays in all of 2018 that he had with 0 tight ends. 24 in all of 2018. Sunday night, 25 plays they ran with no tight end. They ran more plays without a tight end Sunday night than they did all of 2018. So it's like, you know what? You bring them in, you take them out. It's all if the next man up thing. Everybody uses it as a cliche, but you know what? They live it, man. It's like, you know what? I got no tight ends. We won't use any tight ends.
No.
And that's impressive, man. I don't care who you are.
Well, we talked a bit about before coming on here, Bladesy, and I was telling you I was watching. I forget what the name of the program is, but anyway, Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, they will have on Monday mornings. Usually, Mark Schlereth comes on, and I always like Schlereth. He offers a good balance in that particular duo, and he's always been pretty balanced in his commentary. But it's like he said they just have a way of doing things, and Bill has always been very good at building depth for him. And when you look at this team, like Max said, when you got Philip Dorsett, who right now looks to be your wide receiver 4, And now you have Sony Michel, you got James White, and you know what? Here's a guy that's been a bit unheralded, even from last year's Super Bowl run, was Rex Burkhead. I mean, that's a guy who, kind of in garbage time, if you want to call it that, is a guy that can, make sure he does things that you need done at that time in the game that doesn't allow teams to get back in it, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, their depth is probably the best I've seen. And with regards to your comment about the defense, I think I heard they were saying the cornerbacks, the safeties, and all that. This is probably the best they've ever had. The defense, I think somebody said, was probably the best they've had since the Bruschi-led defenses that they used to have going back. So that is a good point. I mean, a lot of talk is going to get focused on the offense, obviously, but most Belichick teams are very good defensively. They either have that bend but don't break type characteristics about them, or they're very good. And it looks like this one's going to be very good. So we're going to.
So I got to interrupt you for a second, Dukester.
Sure.
We've got our first live chat here from Mr. Craig Nickerson, and he just wants to say, "Okay, move along." So even though it took us a whole half hour to get to the Patriots, that's not good enough for him. So I told him we will, and he says, "I mean tonight." So thanks, Craig, for turning in. Holy shit, we didn't even talk. Usually we talk like a half an hour about just the Patriots. So I thought that was pretty good, but.
Well, we haven't stopped. We're not done with the Patriots because now we're going.
Who would Craig like us to be talking about?
Well, yeah.
Well, he just said
he wants to talk about the Leafs.
Talk about the Leafs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe later. We will get. I think we got a Leafs thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a Leafs thing, right?
A tiny bit. So right now we're going to talk about the Antonio Brown saga that has come to New England. Now, I have had a few days to kind of, stew on this thing and dwell on it, and I've listened to all kinds of commentaries and perspectives and YouTubes and all this on the whole matter. Because when this first came out, and truthfully, I almost did because it was talking about where he might get released by the Raiders. There was a possibility. That was kind of the rumors that was in the mill. And I almost did a go live before going into work saying, because I have zero use for this guy in terms of his attitude and stuff. I've never questioned his physical ability, his football ability. He is all world. He's probably one of the top 3 wide receivers in the game, no doubt. And now that he's in New England, he's probably the best all-around receiver they've had since Moss, obviously. I was almost going to say, I just hope the Patriots don't pick this bum up. Well, I get to work. I no longer get set in there. I come out for break, and here it is. Patriots acquire Antonio Brown. I could not flippin' believe it. It shocked me because even though the Patriots have a history of being able to take these projects, let's call it that, and turn them around in most instances, sometimes it doesn't work out. Hainsworth, Ochocinco, as we know. This is a different animal. This is a different cat. And this cat is coming up against a different animal itself. So the more I thought about it, I thought, you know what? For the human side of this story, maybe this is the best thing's ever happened to Antonio Brown. Because I can assure him, and you guys will attest to it and add in your 2 cents, this is not Pittsburgh. This is not Oakland. This is the greatest franchise in the history of the NFL. And there's a reason why. They have been so dominant for the last 20 years. I'm not going to sit and say I will directly cheer for this guy initially. I will indirectly. And it's only because he wears the uniform and the logo on the helmet of the team that I cherish so much. I hope it works out because, as we know with Brady, his years are getting less and less. The sun's soon setting on him. I don't want one of them wasted because of this yin-yang and his attitude coming into New England and affecting it, bringing this cancerous notion that he has about himself. We will see. So there you go. That's my 2 cents. I will shut up now. Blades, I'm going to let you finish, Blades, because T-Mac's going to be some reasoning here, and you're going to say something, and we're going to end up in an argument. I can see that coming.
What? That never happened.
So, Mac, what did you think? Did you think there was a good chance that if the Raiders let him go, that probably Bill would swoop in and take him, or was you a bit surprised?
My son texted me kind of saying, "Dad, what do you think?" And I hadn't thought about it until then. And then I started thinking of the moves that they've done over the years and thought, yeah, I guess he does fit the bill. I kind of agree with you that it's such a no-lose situation. The moment he cuts him, like, look at what they've got already. The moment he does something stupid, Bill has done it before. I mean, he'll happily send him packing. So to me, it's and if I'm Antonio Brown, unlike Dylan, unlike some of these other ones, Brown still has years left, and he still has a chance to get another huge payday. So if I'm him, I am going to show the NFL world for 4 months that my head's on straight, that he thinks of himself, I'm sure, as the best receiver in the game, and I'm going to deliver and be the good disciple. And the Pats can say, thank you very much, get the 3rd round pick and the compensatory pick next year, and people will be hating us even more. And that's just fine. And to me, any fan for the other 31 teams, there's no team in the NFL now that isn't hypocritical, that isn't signing Tyreek Hill to a 3-year extension or taking this guy on after he's done something. Like, every team, we have to leave that part out of our fandom. Like the fake shock of this type of move, and that it is what it is. A little bit differently than you, Duke. I'll happily cheer for him. And I won't worry about giving him a little time, like, because I know my boy Bill, as soon as there's crap, he'll get rid of him, then I won't have to worry about him anymore. So I'll assume that as long as he's out there, that he's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Okay, Blazy, let her go.
I don't know. I can't say much better than T-Mac just did, to be honest with you. I mean, we've all been making fun of him for a year or more, actually. I mean, I've been making fun of the Steelers locker room for a few years because Mike Tomlin has no control over it. We know that, and that's what led to their demise last year and not making the playoffs. And part of it was because of Antonio Brown. All I got to tell you is, Duke, you know what? When that notification came across my phone on Saturday around 5:15 or whatever it was, and said the Patriots have signed Antonio Brown, I wasn't even thinking. I just went, yes! Like, that was it. I was like, holy shit. And, I thought about it more. And let me tell you, I mean, I'm not for these guys being assholes. Let's be clear about this. You know what? I mean, we'll have a little conversation in a little bit where I'm on the other side of this when it comes to a Canadian athlete that I don't like the way she conducts herself, or I haven't in the past, and I will give her another chance. And that's the way it is. You know what he's done in Pittsburgh and what he did in Oakland, as far as I'm concerned, it's a clean slate. I know we talked about this earlier. It's a clean slate with me. Now, I don't condone what he did. I don't think that's correct. But what I'm saying is, once he gets to New England, that's where I am concerned. He's not a bad guy as far as he's not a criminal. He's not, beating up his wife. He's not, doing things like some of these guys in the NFL do. You know what? He's done some shitty things. He's done some shitty things to his teams, and he orchestrated this release, from what I can see. Whether he's legitimately crazy or he's, he orchestrated this whole thing, which is probably somewhere in between, obviously. I don't think he's that smart to do that, but maybe somebody is in his camp. I mean, if that's the way it happened, then great for us. But for anyone to say, the Patriots are wrong for signing this guy, Bill Belichick's job is to win Super Bowls and win football games. And guess what? It helps him if he gets the best wide receiver in the game, or at least top 5 at this point, and was the best, And to me personally, the most important thing about this is that signing him keeps him away from Kansas City. Because let me tell you something, you don't think Kansas City's going to be right on the doorstep? Listen to Bill Simmons' podcast. We've talked about this in the past, but Bill Simmons said this the other day that, he had Antonio Brown in studio in February. They never did a podcast. They just were talking. And this was when he was going to be traded to somebody. And he asked him, what's the offenses you want to play in? And he said, the Patriots in Kansas City. Well, of course, that, any wide receiver in the league would probably want to go to Patriots to Kansas City, but that's what he said. So if that's what he thought, obviously, it's well known now the Patriots actually tried to trade for him back in March, tried to give him a first-round pick. Pittsburgh. Now, they would have been stupid to do that, and their fans would have revolted, I'm sure, because why would they try to make their biggest rival better? And I don't blame them for not taking that. But now Pittsburgh got a third and a fifth from Oakland, and now the Patriots get him anyway. So, I mean, I think the key is that we all know, we picked the Patriots, or most of us picked the Patriots to win this thing before he was ever there. I think they had It's not like Oakland where they needed him. Yes, I know they won last night, but let's not get carried away. But they don't need him. It's great, don't get me wrong, but if he gets out of line, he is gone. I don't think there's any doubt in that. He's not going to disrupt the locker room because he will be gone. So that's the whole thing. You know what? They'll be out $10 million. Well, big fucking up they do.
I got to interrupt here. I have the Fantasy Life app. You know that what's the guy on ESPN?
Happy Berry.
And breaking news: Patriots wide receiver Antonio Brown accused of 3 separate incidents of sexual assault and rape, according to federal lawsuit filed Tuesday, with a link to the New York Times.
You're not
literally serious. Just popped up on my phone.
Holy shit! Well,
so
this might
Can you live edit this? Because
oh my god, that's hilarious.
We may be looking at life without Antonio Brown before it even started.
Well, I would say you are.
Any way we can get Demarius back, or how do we?
I don't think Demarius is ever going to play. No. I don't think that was you know what? Not the way Jacoby Meyer played the other night.
Exactly.
Demarius was never playing. It's just going to get the deal in.
Yeah.
All right, we'll stop that conversation right now.
Look for Craig's comment.
Comment now. He didn't say anything. He probably left.
We just broke news here on the Sunday Night Sports Guy.
Let's just hope that didn't happen today when he was at Tom Brady's house. Giselle probably, we don't want that to happen with Giselle.
Get Giselle around.
We're going to have to look into that a little more. Well, like I said, if he fucks up, he will be gone. Well, that's going to fuck up.
And just so they don't come after us, it was Ben Spiegel in the New York Times that broke this story. We don't want to think that I didn't break it. Ben Spiegel in the New York Times.
Sunday Night Sports Guys, Troy McKenzie broke the story.
And my assistant, a huge Pats fan herself, has already texted me. So she's either watching us.
What is it now? 3 counts of rape?
Yeah. And sexual assault.
Oh, fuck. All right. Well, he's done.
See
ya. That's into him. That's into him. Well, guess what? We don't have to worry about him going to Kansas City either.
No.
Our owner is a whore master. Our cornerback is it does blow.
Not a whore master, man. He's
our wide receiver
billionaire.
And our wide receiver
wants to pay for a blowjob. Let the man pay for a blowjob.
And our wide receiver smoking weed. What's a rapist amongst what we have there? Nah, come on. We need a bank robber next.
Get out of here. You and your morals.
Me and my morals. Who's the one that came out the other day talking about Tyreek Hill in a wife beater? I was all prepared to talk about what goes on the field, not off the field, but oh no, you had to kind of start that a little bit.
What do we have? Yes, and he'll be gone. I'm sure that he will be released. Just like, listen, when they found out about Aaron Hernandez, he was released before the cops even got to his house.
Yes,
right?
He was. Yes, he was.
He was. There was not even any question. When things like this happen with the Patriots, there is no question they are gone. And, they're not like, this isn't like Baltimore Ravens that we not only keep them on the team, but we build a statue for murderers and shit. This is not the Ravens. This is the Patriots, and he will not be around for us to watch on Sunday. But as I was just saying, when you just, when I was doing this, when you broke the news, he is not needed.
No.
Like I said, we thought we had a Super Bowl contender or a Super Bowl winner before this happened. This was extra, and there's no need to think that
Well, he's not
anything
going
else.
to. Yeah, he's not going to be released because what's going to happen is Bill's going to come out and he's going to say the same thing he said when they questioned him about Patrick Chung. We're going to let the law take its course, and let's see what happens. Well, he's not going to be He's not going to be arrested or anything here right away, right? He may be arrested.
It's a little different. It's a little different with cocaine in your house and rape.
Well, there is. That is for sure.
We'll see. And like I said, hey, it isn't until proven guilty. I'm not, let's not crucify the man yet. But usually, where there's smoke,
there's fire.
There's fire.
There is.
So,
all right. So
so until there's more information, I'm not gonna defend the Antonio Brown signing anymore.
No more. We will discuss that.
When new information comes out, we have to adjust. We adjust on the fly, dude.
That's right.
Good job, T-Mac.
All right, so we're done with that story.
All right, so Craig Nixon wants to say fits right in with that criminal enterprise.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Craig! God damn it!
I figured out the comments section on the side. There's a little bubble. It comes over on the side, but you guys can't see it. Anyway, this year we're going to conclude our week of discussion with what I like to call best of the rest. Obviously, we can't go through every game. There's 16 of them. So we will each have a game that we cover, and obviously we will always cover the Patriots, whether you like it or not. So best of the rest. What did you guys take out of the games that were left? What was a point each of you would like to make about something else you saw that week? Blazy, I'll let you go first this time.
I think the big thing was with Baltimore and Lamar Jackson and 5 touchdown passes and things like that. I mean, we knew Baltimore was going to be a decent team. They always have a good defense. We weren't sure. Lamar Jackson came in the end of last year. They gave him the reins, got rid of Flacco, and wasn't really a test. But Miami's already proven that they're ready to throw in the towel for this year. They're going to tank and try to get try to build a team. I don't think anybody thought they were going to tank that bad, but 5 touchdown passes and what he did, 300-something yards, I think the first half. No matter who you're playing against, I think is impressive. We'll see. This week they're playing at home against Arizona. Is probably not a great test either, but it's something to keep an eye on. He's 7-1 as a starter, which is that's pretty good. Nice so. But let's not take too much away from playing against Miami. Like I say, they are definitely not a high caliber team this year for sure. But you know what? It still was pretty impressive. So I think that's something. And with Pittsburgh, if Pittsburgh falls, goes down a little bit more, Baltimore could swoop in there and take that division.
For sure, and definitely not. Or at least I didn't have Baltimore projected to win the division. But again, it's week 1, and a lot of stuff, can't be completely concluded.
Yeah, definitely don't overestimate. Don't be crazy on week 1. Things happen. Shit happens.
So, Mac, what did you of all the games that were left? How did that red zone help you for this conversation here?
Well, the Browns losing so badly would be a gimme of one to talk about, but I think anybody that's paying attention to sports at all has probably heard plenty about that. So I'm going to keep it kind of close to home and talk about the Bills, who've had the bad luck of being in the same division as the Patriots. And they quietly sneaked by the Jets, which, again, might not be a big feat, but for a team that's been part snake bit, part mismanaged, part poorly coached, I think they've got a good defense. And I think Josh Allen is a guy that can give them hope. He makes some mistakes and fumbles and interceptions, but he also has the talent to lead them down the field. And when you've upgraded your receivers by adding John Brown and Cole Beasley, for many teams that wouldn't be a significant upgrade, but for the Bills it was. And I think the fans to the south of me here in Buffalo may have something to look forward to this year. Again, as long as Belichick and Brady are there, it changes what you set your sights on. But I think there's hope. The new regime is probably building something. The move to get McCoy out of there and go with Frank Gore, who'll be playing till he's Brady's age, and a good young guy. I think they're building something there. And Allen's a fun guy to watch. Like, he's not afraid to scramble. He's not afraid to take a hit. He's the type of quarterback that you could get excited about too. So just wanted to share that. That would be one that probably would go under the radar if you weren't in the southwestern Ontario.
Hey, did go under the radar here, man. I tell you what, he was down 16. He threw 4 picks or four turnovers at least, I think it was, in the first half maybe. And down 16-0 on the road and came back and won that game 17-16. I mean, you got to give that guy credit. You know what? He's a gunslinger. He's gonna throw a lot of picks. Gonna throw, but he's a scrambler. He's a good running quarterback, and sometimes that goes overlooked. He's a good run. And Buffalo has got a really good defense. You said a good defense. I think they've got a well above average defense. They have for a couple of years actually. Mm-hmm. So I mean, obviously I don't think they're gonna contend for the division, but you never know. There may be a shot at a wild card. They won a wild card a couple of years ago, and with John Brown, this young running back Singletary is supposed to be good, and with Frank Gore, with steady Eddie Frank Gore, man, he's just there. He doesn't have a high ceiling, but he's got a high floor. He doesn't have a low floor anyway. So you know what? That was an impressive win, I think, for Buffalo on Sunday for sure.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to break some news here again because the statement from Brown's attorney is out, but the website has crashed for the legal firm because I think 3/4 of the football fans are trying to read it along with me. So I can't break anything for you now, Duke, but I'm on it.
Yeah.
Like in Troy Schefter.
Look out, Adam. I'm coming for you.
Well, great points, guys, on the different games. For me, best of the rest, I think, tops the whole weekend, and maybe even better than the Patriots thing. And I want to give a shout out to the Oakland Raiders, who maybe have shown a little bit of friggin' morals and ethics in the midst of all this nonsense with Antonio Brown, because it could have been easy to keep tolerating, because we know how it works today with a lot of these teams. New England, obviously, the exception, that they put up with this foolishness from these athletes, these people who are blessed by God with athletic ability to make a living the way they do, and they treat it like they were entitled to it. So what do the Raiders go and do? The Raiders go ahead and they make the decision after losing not one, but two, a third and a fifth rounder, as you've mentioned earlier, to Pittsburgh, and make the decision to release him. Now, they do get their $30 million back. What I found interesting about that was that the captains of the team, and this is well known out there, you can find it on YouTube or whatever, the captains went to Gruden and said, look, yes, we would love to still would like to have him on the team. Obviously, the talent that he is, he could be very helpful. But we will support whatever decision management, the general manager, Maylock, and yourself does. To me, that spoke volumes of the character that they're trying to develop and the atmosphere they're trying to get a change in Oakland. That's a team that stumbled for a long time too, chaotic locker rooms and stuff like this. And finally, they've kind of took a step in the right direction. And you know what? It got rewarded last night with that win against Denver. David Carr, is it David Carr? Not David.
Derek,
right, I get him mixed up. Derek Carr, I'll tell you, he looked solid last night. I'm not going to make him out to be more than what he was. He was solid. They give him some protection. What's that?
He was a good quarterback a couple of years ago, man.
Well, I know.
Oakland was a good team for, 2-3 years ago. They were one of the top teams in the league, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And, and then, Gruden comes in there and dismantles the whole goddamn thing, trades Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. So, but anyway, sorry. He's a good player. He's not a bad quarterback.
No, not at all. And the guys who now are going to have to pick up the load that Antonio was expected to take. They look for one night. They looked like, if I was a Raiders fan, I probably feel, you know what, that was great. It was awesome. It was good. We got a win.
Fucking ecstatic.
Yeah,
I would say.
yeah, against a division rival sort of thing. I don't know if I'm too happy if I'm a Denver fan after seeing my team lose to that. But anyway, just to me for this week, props to Oakland. They took a stand. Yeah, they got their $30 million back from Brown, but the bigger thing was they took a stand, and hopefully, they continue that road and become another team like the Patriots who don't tolerate this nonsense. Because I personally get tired of these athletes, particularly in football, basketball, and that, with their attitudes and stuff. So, anyway, that is the best of the rest. We are going to move on.
Well, there's one more breaking news from Troy Shafter. I managed to find the lawyer's report. It might make the three of us feel a little better if we're to believe his side. But basically, the woman that's made the allegations had been in a consensual relationship with him for years, was actually training him. And this side of it is that she wanted him to make an investment of $1.6 million, and he's basically saying she's upset, and they have dates where they're supposed to. So there's a good he said she said going on here. So
All right. Well,
you'll be able to sleep at night tonight, Lazy.
maybe, but you know what? We'll see. Because you know what? Now it's a shit show. So
Yeah.
whether it's true or not, I mean, that's not. I don't know if it's the point. Whether he's raping girls or what, you know what I mean? But by football, yes, it is the point. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, I've always said, as long as it doesn't hurt the team. Well, if it starts hurting the team, then I have a problem.
I just know how important it is for us here at Sunday Night Sports Guys to be fair and balanced. So I wanted to make sure I had the legal statement on the other side so that our viewers would know. And I know all the New England love that is out there, and I just wanted to put them at ease.
Well, before we leave football, we need to talk about the Rams. Fuck's sakes, Craig, holy shit. I didn't know you were a Rams fan, Craig. When did that happen? Did that just start? What's going on? Anyway.
I think that's after they got that, after that ambiguous call in New Orleans last year, and I don't even know if Craig ever even followed. I'll even put up for Craig. I'm even going to put up the Rams helmet.
There you go.
Craig. We're showing you some love.
I can talk a little bit about that game yesterday, actually.
All right, you got 1 minute, and we're moving on.
All right. Well, Craig, I'll tell you what. The Rams were obviously NFC champions last year, but we gotta, they go into Carolina. You know what? It's never easy to go cross country. So, they were only 1.5 point favorite in Carolina, which, was people would go, what the hell's going on? But they went across country. Cam Newton is obviously healthy right now. We're not sure how long that's going to happen, but you know what? The Rams look good. I mean, they went in there. Todd Gurley doesn't look good. That's a big problem for you. You know what? He looked good when he ran, but he touched the ball 9 times, something like that. I think he averaged 7 yards a carry, but they never gave him the ball. Malcolm Brown stole a couple of touchdowns. You know what? The Rams are fine. They're going to be right up there. You know what? It's going to, like I said, Craig, it's going to be a big game next week at home against New Orleans. I think that's going to, this early. Let's call it now. That could be home field. Whoever wins that game is going to be home field NFC Championship game. So that could be it. So there you go. Talk to the Rams.
He said,
Dave, and he said we didn't believe.
Imagine asking how in the hell we can't know anything about football.
Yeah.
You sound like chipmunks, dude.
You went full Alvin Simon and Theodore on us there.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Craig goes back to the Vince Ferragamo days. So I trust him. I trust him. I trust you, Craig. Millions wouldn't, but I do.
All right, can you guys hear me better now?
I think the only thing with the Rams is the potential. What's going on with Gurley? Is Malcolm Brown going to steal the carries? Cooper Kupp is back. The defense is strong. Rams are in good shape.
Yeah, Goff didn't look great, but you know what? It was first game of the year. It's not a big deal. Carolina usually has a decent defense. I think Rams are fine. They'll be there at the end. Not much.
And like I said earlier on, playing New Orleans next week is a good litmus test for both teams.
I think so. Yeah, exactly. New Orleans on the road. New Orleans usually doesn't play that well on the road. So we'll see what happens. Dude, back.
I'm back. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh dear. Well, you're Jabba the Hutt again.
Oh, geez, don't tell me that. Not sure exactly what I can do to. How's that? Is that
You're
better?
hearing the same thing I am right now.
I am, yes. It's new. It's a new segment here on Thursday Night Sports, guys. The Chipmunks meets playing your 33 record on 40. No, that would speed it up.
That was speed it up.
Playing
Did we go
your
on
16
16?
on 30 feet.
Yeah. Or did it go down to 16? We went really low.
Yeah, for the old timers in the crowd,
There you
remember
go.
that players.
Was it 16, 33, 45, 78? I think they
Yeah.
got albums. I don't know what was ever played on 16.
Not sure.
Duke, obviously.
I don't know what's happening here. I got nothing
I
else
think
going.
we're going to talk about Bianca for a few minutes, ladies, or a minute or two.
Yeah.
DD.
It sounded like you had a little counter. You're happy that she won, but there's something about.
Well, all right. Let me just put it in there. All right. We talked about her actually back in March, April, when she started kind of coming on the scene. I mean, she won at Indian Wells, and then she had the big thing in Miami, I think. She had Kerber got into it a little bit. Kerber called her biggest drama queen in tennis because she and you know what I found what little bit I saw of her back then is that when she was winning everything was great, she started losing, she started getting an injury. And you know what, I don't want to judge, but it just seemed like, and it might be a tennis thing, because you know what, let's be honest, most of these tennis people are spoiled brats. And they act that way, most of them, as far as I'm concerned. This is my take on tennis. You can like it, lump it, whatever you want to do. So, me personally, I didn't want to be a hypocrite. Jump on the bandwagon when she started winning at the U.S. Open because I actually had a little problem with the way she acted. I mean, I did see her in the U.S. Open once she threw a racket fucking halfway across the court, which, you know what? Listen, I've done that when I was a kid, don't get me wrong. I've thrown a bat, I've thrown gloves, I've thrown many things. I got pissed off, but I wasn't, on that stage. That being said, I just wanted to say, I didn't want to be a hypocrite and go, oh, she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Just want to say, you know what? I'd like to see her. Not a big, my quote was that I'm not a huge fan of her antics, but congratulations, she's just the greatest player that ever was in her backyard with all that fans against her. And she came and Serena made a comeback there in that second set. It was a great match. She came back down 5-1 and came back tied 5-5, and at that point I was like, oh shit, she's done. And then Andreescu just turned it on and took it, right? So that being said, that was a great feat, and it's a great thing for Canada. Not that she's, and that's the thing, she's not playing for Canada, she's from Canada, it's not the Olympics, it's not, something like that, but she's from Canada, we can be proud of her, that's great. I'm going to be like Antonio Brown. I'm going to give her a clean slate from this point forward and see how she acts. And let's hope she could be number one in the world, by next year this time, if she keeps playing like that, because she's been awesome. I mean, she's beaten some good players. She's been playing well, like ever since Indian Wells, to be honest with you, which was in spring. So, you know what? She's 19 years old, so you got to give her a little bit of a break. So that was just my whole point. You know what? I'm going to give her a clean slate. I'm going to be behind her. I was behind her. I wasn't cheering against her. Don't get me wrong. Let's not, I wasn't cheering against her. My kids were watching with, first time we ever watched a tennis match in our life. And you know what? They were cheering for her. They were cheering, and every time she got a point, they were cheering. It's like, holy shit. It's like, good. That's good. I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
So, good for her. She deserved it. She totally deserved it. And let's hope she keeps going.
Okay, so can you guys hear? You can hear me now.
The way she has carried herself after has been.
Yeah, Craig's saying that he can.
Yeah, that's why we're not leaving you. We just can't.
We just figured you would go until you were back with us. I think the stuff that we've been doing up here and seeing she's doing saying all the right things after, like you, let's see how, and try to remember that she's 19 and see how it goes. If you need something for
we're all reverberating. Is that what's going on, dude?
He's saying that
Well, if we're all reverberating, I guess none of this matters. But you sound
Greg's
great.
saying Duke is good. Greg's saying Duke is good. The rest of us are reverberating. Is that right, Duke?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should turn off your YouTube. He's got 150
I don't
on
have
YouTube.
YouTube on.
I only have it on my.
Turn off the live like if you guys have it on your phone.
I just have YouTube on my phone.
If you got your phone, turn it off. Turn it off. Take it off.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's
you're
off.
cracking up the way you're talking.
It's off.
Troy is clear as a bell.
phone
Which
is
Troy
totally
is that,
off.
Craig? Is it T-Mac or Blades? Clear. Everything seems clear, he says now. Can you hear me, guys?
No, you're still like, but I can hear you, but it's low. It's better than it was.
Yeah, he's saying that it's clear on his end.
Good
So
talk. I can
Yeah.
understand you. Duke, or Troy, can you understand Mac?
Barely.
Yeah, I can understand you.
all right. All right, well, with regards to okay, Duke only.
Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant Lock. All right, go ahead, keep going. It's all right.
We apologize for the technical issues that we're having here tonight. I'm not quite sure. We're still trying to work the bugs out here, and so obviously I'm entertaining my two panelists. Craig, you can hear me. My viewers can hear us.
Yeah.
So that's
You do. You sound exactly like Andre the Giant right now.
Andre the Giant.
Exactly.
So I guess we have a bit of a problem here if we're not going to be able to fully communicate. So yes.
Hey, you're killing it. You're killing it, Mac.
Anyhow, I don't even know if they're following along on their phone now, if they can see the comments. So anyway.
Oh, I turned it off. You told me to turn it off. You told me to turn it off.
You want us to keep talking? You want us to keep talking?
Yes.
Oh.
You want us to keep talking, but if we sound like him, does it make any sense?
Can you hear us? All right. Well, this is fun. Let's keep going.
All I was going to say is if you need some entertainment before the night is over, search Antonio Brown on Twitter and just follow along what people are saying. There's so many posts. There's one on here of a guy, a meme of a guy with a fire in his backyard trying to put some gas on it, and then he lights up stuff, tosses a gas can, sets his backyard on fire. They're having some fun, and Antonio Brown. You can't keep up with them. There's so many.
I'll bring it up. Yeah, he's, I'm sure, you know what, I'll wait till tomorrow. I'll wait till the aftermath. That's what happens. I don't even know what to say. Not much to say, really. I don't know anything about it. Oh, what's he got there? DD. Oh, David Dombrowski.
All right.
All right. Go ahead, Troy.
Well, it was interesting. I kind of missed it, I think we said earlier, Monday Night Sports Dump. And as a non-Red Sox fan in the group, I'm kind of surprised because they knew exactly what they were getting with Dombrowski. He delivered them the championship, and weird to do it right. Like they didn't have to do it now. Why do it during the season? Like I don't. The timing of it more than anything. You want to do it great, but I guess they decide the season's done, so why not do it now and get it over with? I don't know. That's about all I have.
I guess. Unless they had somebody in mind that they were, or just wanted a little more time to get somebody they knew they were going to do it, so why wait? I mean, as a Red Sox fan, you know what? I mean, the guy is what he is. We knew what we were getting when we hired him. He depleted the minor leagues, but in that span, he won a World Series. Went 3 division championships in a row. I mean, we can't. This is not. It's not our division win every year, and guess what? It just didn't work out. I don't think it's his fault. I mean, he's got pretty much the same team he had last year. Let's be honest. The same team that won 108 games in the regular season, won the World Series last year, 119 games total. Lack of Craig Kimbrell and a couple others. So is that Dombrowski's fault? I don't know.
I don't think it had anything to do with Sale or Price or Porcello.
What's that?
I don't think it had anything to do with Sale, Price, and Porcello.
I think the biggest mistake, to be honest with you, and at the time, I said, if they signed him to this contract, they must be quite confident that he's healthy. Is Sale, because I would never have signed him to a 5-year contract, the way his arm and the way his health has been the last 2 years. When they signed him, I'm like, well, they must be quite confident in him that he's going to be able to pitch a full season, because he hasn't. He hasn't since he's been with the Red Sox. So you know what? They got a World Series out of him. He's the most dominant pitcher going when he was good, but you know what? Better get, better smart enough. Got 4 years left. So whatever it is, so you better get on the mound. It's no good dugout or in the clubhouse for sure. So, but anyway, I mean, you know what? The Red Sox are like, you know what? It's Boston, and culture, and they're going a different way, and I whatever. I'm with it. Fine with it. Like you said. Could be better. Wait till the end of the year. I don't think it's his fault. It's just like anything. People want Ford to fire. Fuck's sake, he had 1 year, 108 games, and this year's been a little bit over 500, and one fire. Like, come on, can't fire, but he's just in the World Series every year.
Yeah, you got to go back 15 years and remind Red Sox fans the way things used to be.
Relax. Duke's probably going, man, I wish I could talk.
Sounds good, dude. He wants us to close it out. Finish it off. Take it over, Lazy.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Fellas. Thanks, fellas. I'll close it out. All right. Go ahead.
All right. So Craig's saying that he's been hearing me fine the whole time. So obviously there's some audio issues on the other 2 ends, so that's something that we'll have to look at. He said it was all good till about 10 minutes ago, so I don't know if these guys are hearing me now or not. Probably not. But anyway, so you know what? Thanks, everybody, for coming out tonight. We really appreciate the support that we get with this broadcast. We have a lot of fun putting it all together. Really looking forward to this NFL season and doing this every week. We hoping to keep this at every Tuesday night, which seems to be a time slot right now that's working best for the 3 of us. So again, we'll be, keep in touch with us through our YouTube channel. Subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell for notifications. That'll tell you when we're going live. I do my Dupes Daily every day, talk about various things that's going on. And yes, Craig, we will be getting into hockey next week. Hockey will be getting started up. We would have liked to have touched on that in the odds and end thing. But because of the tech problems we're having here tonight, we're going to cut it a little bit short. So anyway, everybody, thanks so much for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. Everybody, thanks, fellas, for showing up. And we will see you again next week on the Sunday Night Sports Guys. Bye for now.